Hey guys, Cody B here. Last night I preached a sermon on unity, and I want to take a moment this morning, and I'm probably gonna start doing this every Monday for the next few weeks. And I want to take one of the points I had in my sermon last night and dive into it and just go a little bit deeper. Um, like I said last night, we talked about unity and we talked about the fact that our nation has no unity whatsoever, and how that disunity has crept into the church, and how it's in congregations all across the United States of America. By church, I mean the Big C church. Um, and I said last night, and we went through several points, and I talked about those. If you'd like to go look at that sermon, it's on Facebook, on our Church of Christ Facebook, on the Perryville Church of Christ Facebook page. But one of the points was, well, I'll just tell you, it comes from Romans chapter 14, beginning in verse 1, had to do with opinions and how opinions play a role in unity and how they can play a role in disunity. Except the one who is weak in faith. This is Romans 14, verse 1. Now, accept the one who is weak in faith, but not for the purpose of passing judgment on his opinions. One person has faith that he may eat all things, but he who is weak eats vegetables only. Paul's using the meat vegetable argument as an example, and because he uses it as examples, the reason is because the church in Rome, that's what they were discussing, that's what they were arguing. Paul says in this chapter that doesn't actually matter. The problem is, here in the 21st century, 24-hour news and news stations conflicting with each other on purpose to appeal to their audience for ratings and for numbers and for money. We have gotten to the point as a society, in our nation and in our churches and in our congregations, that we no longer actually agree on what is fact and what is opinion. And when you no longer agree on the facts, how can you strive for unity? For example, if I was to say, hey, everyone should be vaccinated, well, is that a fact? Is that an opinion? If I was to say vaccination will slow the spread of COVID-19, is that a fact or is that opinion? And depending on what news station you listen to, you either believe it's an opinion or you believe it's a fact, depending on what studies you have. And what's sad is our experts don't even agree. There's a lot of doctors who say, hey, it's a fact that if you get a vaccination, we will slow the spread of COVID-19. Others say, no, it doesn't matter. Who do you trust? What do you do? And I don't have the solution to that. My point is, as a church and as Christians, we still have to get along. That's what God expects. Yeah, the world's always going to be in disunity. But Christians have a faith that overcomes the world. We're not called to look like the world. We're called to look like Christ. So what's the problem? What I have decided, for my life, to combat this issue of disunity in our towns and our churches and our congregations and our nation, is to throw out the political things in my life, Throw out the news that's full of liars and people who are trying to make a profit off of my eyes. To throw out the articles whose only wish is to get a click and not actually tell the truth. Instead, focus on this book. Because it's the only document and the only source that has absolute truth.